In the small, quiet town of Whispering Pines, surrounded by tall redwood trees, resided a peculiar old man named Eldridge. Eldridge was known throughout the town for his long memory, but not for the reasons one might hope. He possessed an uncanny ability to remember every wrong, every slight, every grudge ever directed towards him. Eldridge lived alone in a creaky cabin on the outskirts of town, surrounded by whispering pines that seemed to echo the bitterness he held within. His heart, once filled with the warmth of forgiveness, had grown cold and heavy with the weight of his grudges. He spent his days replaying past hurts in his mind, reliving the pain inflicted upon him by others. The townsfolk knew of Eldridge's reputation and often spoke of him in hushed tones. They would whisper about his sullen demeanor and the way his eyes seemed to hold the darkness of 1,000 storms. Some pitied him, while others avoided him altogether, fearing that they too might become victims of his unforgiving nature. The grudges Eldridge clung to were like heavy rocks in his heart, weighing him down and preventing him from experiencing the joy and lightness of life. Each grudge was a chain that bound him to the past, a constant reminder of the pain he had endured. He carried them with him everywhere he went, a heavy burden that cast a shadow over every aspect of his existence. Eldridge's grudges not only affected him but also created a barrier between him and the people around him. His inability to forgive prevented him from forming meaningful connections, leaving him isolated and alone. The townsfolk, sensing his bitterness, kept their distance, unwilling to risk becoming the target of his resentment. As the years turned into decades, Eldridge's grudges festered and grew, poisoning his thoughts and emotions. He became consumed by his bitterness, unable to see the beauty that still existed in the world around him. The colors of the sunset seemed dull, the songs of the birds grating, and the laughter of children a distant memory. One ordinary afternoon, as Eldridge sat by his window, lost in his thoughts, he noticed a young girl skipping down the path towards his cabin. The girl, whose name was Alara, possessed a radiant smile and eyes that sparkled with kindness. She had recently moved to Whispering Pines with her family and was eager to make new friends. Alara had heard tales of the grumpy old man who lived in the woods, and despite her parents' warnings, felt a strange pull towards him. She believed that everyone deserved a friend, even someone as seemingly unapproachable as Eldridge. With a heart full of compassion and a basket of freshly baked cookies, she approached his cabin with cautious optimism. Eldridge, surprised by the unexpected visitor, hesitantly opened his door. Alara's cheerful demeanor and genuine warmth caught him off guard. It had been so long since he had experienced such kindness that he felt a flicker of something unfamiliar within him, a faint glimmer of hope. Over the next few weeks, Alara continued to visit Eldridge, her sunny disposition slowly chipping away at the wall of bitterness he had built around himself. She would tell him stories about her life, her dreams, and the simple joys she found in the world. She listened patiently as he shared his own experiences, his voice heavy with the weight of his past. One day, Alara brought Eldridge a small, smooth stone she had found in the nearby creek. She explained that it reminded her of the importance of letting go. Sometimes, she said, we hold on to things that hurt us, like rocks we carry in our hearts. But holding on to those rocks only makes us heavy and sad. We have to be brave and let them go so we can be free to experience joy again. Eldridge, struck by the simplicity and wisdom of her words, looked down at the stone in his hand. He realized that Alara was right. He had been holding on to his grudges for far too long, allowing them to poison his heart and steal his happiness. He knew that letting go wouldn't be easy, but he also knew that it was time. With Alara's encouragement, Eldridge began the difficult process of confronting his past and releasing the grudges he had held for so long. It wasn't easy. There were moments of anger, resentment, and pain. But with each grudge he released, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders, a sense of freedom he had almost forgotten. He started by forgiving those who had hurt him unintentionally, acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes. He then moved on to the more challenging task of forgiving those who had deliberately caused him pain, understanding that holding on to anger would only hurt him more in the long run. As Eldridge let go of his grudges, he noticed a profound shift within himself. The darkness that had clouded his vision began to dissipate, replaced by a renewed sense of hope and optimism. He began to notice the beauty in the world again, the vibrant colors of the wildflowers, the gentle rustling of the leaves, the warmth of the sun on his skin. The transformation in Eldridge didn't go unnoticed by the townsfolk of Whispering Pines. They were amazed by his newfound kindness, his warm smile, and his willingness to forgive. Word spread quickly through the town, and soon people were approaching him, eager to reconnect and rebuild the bridges that had been broken. Eldridge embraced this opportunity to make amends for his past behavior. He apologized to those he had wronged, offering forgiveness and understanding in return. He discovered that forgiveness wasn't just about letting go of anger towards others, but also about forgiving himself for the mistakes he had made. As Eldridge opened his heart to forgiveness and kindness, he noticed a ripple effect spreading throughout the town. People who had been holding on to their own grudges were inspired by his example and began to let go of their anger and resentment. The town of Whispering Pines, once shrouded in shadows, began to blossom with a renewed sense of community and compassion. With each passing day, Eldridge felt lighter and freer than he had in years. He no longer carried the weight of his past on his shoulders, and the joy he had suppressed for so long began to bubble to the surface. He started spending his days gardening, tending to his long-neglected flower beds, and sharing his harvest with his neighbors. Eldridge's cabin, once a reflection of his inner turmoil, underwent a transformation as well. The cobwebs were dusted away, the windows were thrown open to let in the sunshine, and the scent of freshly baked bread filled the air. The cabin, once a symbol of isolation and bitterness, became a haven of warmth and hospitality. Eldridge's story became a tale whispered throughout Whispering Pines, a reminder that it's never too late to let go of the past and embrace the transformative power of forgiveness. The townsfolk, inspired by his example, learned that forgiveness wasn't a sign of weakness, but a testament to the strength of the human spirit. In the end, Eldridge realized that the greatest gift he received from letting go of his grudges wasn't the forgiveness of others, but the forgiveness of himself. By releasing the anger and resentment he had held onto for so long, he freed himself to experience the world with an open heart and a renewed sense of wonder. Eldridge discovered that true happiness wasn't found in seeking revenge or holding on to the past, but in embracing the present moment with gratitude and compassion. He learned that forgiveness wasn't about condoning the actions of others, but about freeing himself from the chains of bitterness and resentment. The story of Eldridge, the grudge keeper of Whispering Pines, is a powerful reminder that we all have the capacity to change, to forgive, and to choose love over anger. It teaches us that by releasing the grudges we hold within, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities, a world filled with joy, connection, and the radiant light of forgiveness. Open your heart to positivity. Life is too short to carry the weight of grudges. Like heavy stones, they weigh us down, preventing us from experiencing the beauty and joy that surrounds us. By choosing to forgive, we free ourselves from the shackles of the past and open our hearts to the life-changing power of positivity. Letting go of grudges isn't a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of the strength of our character. It's a conscious decision to release the anger and resentment that hold us captive, allowing us to embrace the healing power of forgiveness and step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. So, let us choose to approach life with open hearts and forgiving spirits. Let us release the grudges that bind us and embrace the life-changing power of positivity. For in letting go, we discover the true meaning of freedom and experience the world through the lens of love, compassion, and boundless possibility.